Hi everyone, so this video is going to be a sketchbook session, but in this video I'm going to be studying from photo reference and kind of showing how I go about doing that. So I'm going to be talking through my process of how I find the photos to study from and how I look at them and how I translate that to paper. I used to find her really hard to draw, and the more I draw her, the easier it gets. I made this iced tea myself. Not that it's that hard, I've just never made it before. So she's over there and she moves around all the time, so I have so many half-finished sketches of her just moving around. Drawing things from life is always better than photos, only because you just get a more natural sense of like how the object actually looks, because you can see it from tons of different angles. And she's just slid down again. So I'm just going to use my iPad. Pinterest is a really good place to find references because it's almost like a random image generator, because all the stuff you look at, it kind of like remembers what you like, and then when you open Pinterest, it'll kind of like show you a bunch of photos. I don't know why there's so many of beauty stuff, because I only look at like animal photos. But I just have a board called References where I just pin stuff I think is interesting or inspiring. But I would never just like take, this photo and completely redraw it, because it's not mine. It's the photographer's. So if I do completely redraw something, it's only for practice, and that's what this video is going to be. But using references for creating like a full illustration, it's good to have a whole bunch of different ones to kind of pull from, so you're creating your own image and not using someone else's. So since there's a glare, I'm not going to leave my iPad here. I'm just going to put up the photo that I'm drawing from. So say I was doing this hippo one. So I'm going to be using this notebook that I picked up at IKEA a week or so ago. And I've been filling it with these kind of studies where I just take a photo and just try to practice drawing different animals and rooms and all kinds of stuff. So I like using pencils when I sketch. It just feels the most natural, like I can get the lines down. So the first thing I do is I look for the general shape. So the head of the hippo is kind of like this. Then there's a round shape here. And I like to keep my wrist kind of in this circular motion. And there's a baby hippo over here. So I didn't really capture the baby hippo that well. Usually I just like to move on, but I want to see if I can actually do it. So a good thing to remember is sort of like the line of action, which is the general curve of the movement of the subject. So like this hippo's head is kind of like, he's sort of doing this. He has this like upward curve with his head, and then his head kind of has like a second. It's just really hard to tell what's going on because this isn't the clearest photo, so I'm not sure what's happening with the baby that well. And the mama hippo's eyes. The amount of detail I go into just sort of depends on the day, because I usually don't include that much detail. I just kind of do the general contours of it. Sometimes like minimal shading can sort of help separate areas from other areas. So like behind the baby hippo, that's when it would be useful. I'm gonna switch to this thicker pencil. Baby hippo still doesn't look quite right, but I'm not fully warmed up, so things aren't gonna be that great in the beginning. And it's good to like look back and forth to make sure like really look at it as a whole and not the individual parts. I found myself kind of zoning in on areas too much where the rest of it wasn't the right forms. And the purpose isn't to make something that looks pretty, but you want it to look, you know, accurate. I like to do a bit of cross-hatching just to bring out the forms and the shadows. I just find it hard to sketch without doing that. And that's pretty much as much detail as I can gather from this photo. I'm just gonna move on to this rhinoceros one. This one. Haven't really drawn a rhinoceros before, but I think they're really cool. And this is a head-on shot, so it might be kind of difficult for the first rhinoceros, but they are similar to hippos. Like they have that sort of like chunky look, and I've been drawing some hippos lately, just not rhinoceros. What is the singular or the plural for rhinoceros? Okay, so the back kind of comes up in this spike, and there's a big sort of lump there. The head. The baby. I know these photos have probably been drawn so many times by other artists, but like I've never drawn them, and I know they'll be useful for me for studying how to draw things. And if you can go to a zoo or anything like that, if you have like a chance to see wild animals or just like real life animals, that is always the best option. But you know, you don't see a rhinoceros every day, so sometimes you have to do photos. I like to do this fairly quickly because if I linger too long in certain areas, it's just not going to look right. I'm a fast sketcher, but sometimes that works against me because I don't include enough detail sometimes, or I don't know, it's just the way I do it. Sometimes the first few aren't gonna look great, especially if you haven't drawn it before, or you're like pretty new to art, because your brain still has to figure out how it works before you can even get it onto the paper. So it's gonna take a while for your brain to kind of, you know, learn the shapes and get the muscle memory for where things go before you can actually translate it to paper. And that's kind of why it's called studying, because your brain has to build this visual library. It's funny how school is out for most people now, but this is a video about studying. So this is super messy. I didn't exactly, you know, nail it. Like, it's not exactly how the photo looked. But I think I figured out some things. I'm going to try drawing another rhinoceros. And this one actually has a watermark on it. Marina Cano. Spanish photographer Marina Cano. And this is what part 1 from her portfolio. So I'm going to try drawing that one. It's a very nice photo. Just of like a, you know, just a rhinoceros. Just the head, because I just want to see how it looks. And it's a very sort of eggplant-y sort of shape, almost like Moomin. And sometimes it's really hard to draw what you see in front of you because your brain has this idea of what it thinks it should look like when your eyes are seeing something else, but you tend to like draw what your brain thinks it should be than what your eyes are actually seeing, because you think that you like your brain sort of knows better. I love their ears so much. They're like these cute little, they're just so round. It took me so long to figure out how to draw animal eyes, and I still struggle with them. I don't know why. This looks so much more cartoony than I had in mind. Okay, here's one more profile view of a rhinoceros. This photo is by the official San Diego Zoo. I love having a cheap sketchbook to just do as many studies as I want, because sometimes I stop because I feel like I'm just using too much paper and it just feels like I'm just like overdoing it. But with this sketchbook I can just keep sketching and never run out of paper. And it's the thinnest paper in the world, but it still works with pencil, so it's not really a sketchbook, it's a blank notebook, but it works for me. And it's from IKEA. But, I mean, you can find these kinds of books everywhere. And you can just do it in your normal sketchbook, too. Like, I do stuff like this in my normal sketchbook, but I've been really wanting to buckle down lately with studies, so I wanted to just have a space where I can just do it. I think this looks more like a rhino. Now that I've drawn a few of them, I'm starting to sort of understand their anatomy a bit more. And you can also do this with painting. You can find photos with lighting that you want to try, with types of colors that you want to try painting. But this video is obviously about drawing, not painting. I don't really do painting studies enough. I really should. I really should do that. Because I haven't done a lot of digital art. Because I've just been loving... I do digital stickers, but I haven't done like a digital painting. Also, something that is really helpful, which seems obvious when you hear it, but it kind of made something in my brain click, is when you're drawing, you want to look for the overlaps and make sure you make it clear what's in front of what. So if I'm drawing, so here's another photo. It's also from the San Diego Zoo. And there's a lot of, it has legs, and the legs are all overlapping each other. I'm going to do this really fast for the sake of explaining. You want to make it clear what leg is in front of what leg. So you do that by kind of emphasizing the line that overlaps it, like this. So the belly is in front of this, but then the leg kind of comes into the body, and that's in front of that. The head is in front of this leg, and you just emphasize those lines. And that really helps with the readability of things, because if your line weight is the same all the way around, it's things can start to blend into each other if the forms aren't very clear. This is kind of a stiff study because I wasn't really paying that much attention while I was doing it, but I keep trying to draw the nose and it ends up looking like a mouth, and I just don't know where their mouths are. And also shading in those areas that are behind other areas can help. So make sure it's clear what's in front of what. That's something that really helped me and just kind of made everything click. Squirrels are also something that I've never been able to draw that well, so I'm going to try drawing this one. This is from midwhaleredsquirrels.org. Okay, no, before I start, I just dove right in and started drawing the head, but I want to really capture the action. This squirrel is running, so it has a very fast sort of momentum, and the body is sort of like this. So, the arm. It's okay if the tail gets cut off because that's not too hard to draw. And of course you can go in with as many details as you want, but these are more so gestures, I guess, like longer gestures. Gonna shade in this leg because it's in the background and emphasize what covers what. So this leg's in front of there. With photos like this, it's hard to see how the paws look. So what I like to do after drawing a bunch of the general body shape, I'll search for squirrel paw. That shows a squirrel reaching its hands out, but I can see the paws a little bit better in this one, so I'm going to try to draw one of them. So the leg comes down. It's still pretty small, but I can sort of see the individual toes or fingers, I don't know what they would be called. Okay, so the toes are kind of coming out here, and there's one going this way. I'm gonna use my mechanical pencil because it's darker, and I need to add stuff. So it's like fuzzier here, and then when the knuckles come in, it's not that fuzzy. Okay, that's not the best, but it kind of helped me understand. Here's another one where the squirrel kind of has its paws sort of together. Gonna try to capture that. I probably should have slowed down a bit more with this one, because I didn't really get the full shape of things. Whenever I go to draw a building, I just don't know what to draw, so I try to draw different kinds of buildings. It's good to establish the perspective early on so you know what you're following. I don't know why this is confusing me so much. Like, there's a piece of the roof that continues down and comes back and kind of sticks out like this. And that's where a door is. Wait, that's not straight at all. But looking at it and trying to draw it will help me understand. This picture is messing with my eyes because it's just... Let's just not have that little extending part. I'm gonna move on and draw something up here. I just want to kind of remember this sort of style of porch because I think it'd be nice to know how to do this. So it has a roof that comes forward that has rocks on it, and there's one over here too. And the porch comes off of this, it comes down. Okay, that's kind of a rough thing, but I think I sort of captured the essence of it, I guess. I want to try drawing this Greyhound running. I think I've drawn this photo before. Just trying to get the general action of this. There's one running. Let's try to draw this one across the spread. It's gonna be kind of hard. There's another one running over here. Sometimes it's nice to sort of go back in and sort of shade around your drawings. Adds a little bit of color. And you can sketch with anything, like any material. It doesn't have to be pencil, it can be anything. Sometimes I like to do like marker like this, like the one I'm using, ballpoint pen, pencil crayon, crayons, anything. Just whatever you feel like using. Try to switch up the supplies so that you don't get bored and so that it's fun. Because using different supplies to sketch can be very fun. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my process for studying from photos. It's a very loose process. I do very gestural sort of things with little details here and there. It's good to keep your strokes broad, keep your hand moving fast while you sketch, don't dwell on the details. So I hope you got something from this video, just seeing me sketch a bunch of stuff from photo reference, and also those clips of me trying to draw my dog from life. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.